Welcome back, it's Suzy Bamgbose and today is the 21st of June 2022 and today we have a short documentary on sustainable fashion. We have a talk by Joe Mountain of Future Fashion Fair with some sustainable brands. We're also showcasing a video on SANE, who are here to make sure that we have the evidence-based documents to meet the requirements of sustainable fashion production.
What is sustainable fashion? It can have some varied meanings in terms of fashion, recycling, vintage, rewear, ethical working practice, slow fashion, and using natural fabric or materials for textile, clothing, footwear and accessories. Brief A to Z of sustainable fashion. A. Artisan, a skilled textile fabric maker. In America, some women, when they are on the plantation, make quilts from old fabrics, use bed sheets. The WPA slave narratives collected in the 1930s included some references to quilting. One woman proudly told how her mother used to quilt the prettiest quilts you'd ever see. They were sold to white people to earn a little money. Tragically, all slaves didn't have this opportunity. Many lacked sufficient clothing and blankets, with nothing left to make a quilt. B. Biodegradable fabrics such as organic cotton silk and hemp, however, in the natural form. However, the dyes must also be natural, not to harm the environment. C. Circular fashion. Constant recycling use of the fabric or fashion garment. C also stands for conscious consumer, who care how the clothes are made and the working conditions of those who are making the clothes. E. Eco-friendly, ensuring no harm to the environment or adding to the waste, contaminating the environment, and animal-friendly fabrics, causing no death or harmful chemical experiments to the animals. Also, ethical working practices with fair pay. G. Greenwashing is what happens when a brand gives a false impression of its sustainable endeavours. SANE is a new organisation that will confirm the sustainability of the garment process from sourcing to finishing. M. Minimalisation is about reducing the amount of stuff you own. Do you really need that dress, trousers or shoes? S. Slow fashion is against fast fashion and throwaway fashion. It is a movement that prioritises quality over quantity. U. Upcycling also turns waste into reusable material, but of better quality. Z. For zero waste, which means for the pre-consumer, zero waste fashion eliminates waste during manufacture. Post-consumer, zero waste fashion generates clothing from post-consumer garments, such as second-hand clothing.
Help us to get to the fundraising target for each charity.
Hi there, I'm Joe from Future Fashion Fair, and today, a part of the Sofou fashion fundraiser, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the fashion fair and some of the vendors we have involved with the event, and they will be running on the virtual show as well. But how I got involved with the fair: I currently do my Masters at Leeds University. I work in textile innovation. In to join the team to start the fair a couple of weeks just before the first one. So we did our first event in September last year, where we wanted to showcase a sustainable fashion market to try and encourage people to shop more responsibly, introduce people to the ideas of slow fashion, and also bring people to this part of Manchester, which is in Cheetham Hill, trying to shop sustainably. We wanted to create an event that sort of ticked all those areas. And then I think as the event evolved, or as we did the first one, I realised this actually had a lot of potential to become a platform. You know, there's a lot of brands on the high streets that will market their products as being sustainable, but actually when you're buying from a fast fashion brand, that's just not possible. So that was kind of the approach we took with starting the Future Fashion Fair, and then that's how it's evolved. We host now talks at the event as well, which is all about making it accessible to that education, and it's all free as well. Another question that I've been asked is how often is the fair? So the fair is every about 3 or 4 months. We change the dates around, but we're trying to do one each season so people can have access to. And then what type of clothing we sell, it can completely depend. I mean, we have a swap shop, but the brands and designers that we get involved with the fair, they are completely based on the sustainable elements that they provide within their products. So when we look to onboard new vendors, we have to ensure that the product that they are selling is ethical and that they're following a certain protocol, whether that's using sustainable materials, whether it's profits going to refugees or different charities or causes. And then from that, we sort of categorise which areas we believe that they should be in part of the fair. Obviously, we just don't want all vintage or all second-hand. We try allocate it and design and curate it so it's got options for everyone as well. The next question that I have is, what problems have you experienced with sustainable fashion from merchants, buyers, fashion designers and the general public? I think it goes back to that first question that I answered about the marketing aspects of like how we communicate products to the consumer. Like I mentioned, on the high street, you see a lot of, you try and correlate that in a fashion context. It can mean various things in different ways, and I think that's one of the things we're trying to combat. I think understanding what things are made of, materials and products, and then coming with that is the processes and how to make those, which obviously most consumers are expected to know, nor should they have to know. Or at the end of the day, they just want to buy a product for themselves. So we have to ensure that when we're communicating these ideas at the fair, the vendors also are communicating these ideas, that they're fully transparent. As I mentioned, we have some form of a protocol. We're not that strict on it because we want to be inclusive. We want to bring more people into this, and actually, as part of educating consumers, also educate these independent brands. And if they can then come to the fair, network with other vendors as well, that's part of how they approach that. So my next question is, do you check if the people exhibiting are sustainable? So yeah, as I mentioned, we have some form of a protocol. We're not that strict on it because we want to be inclusive. We want to bring more people into this and educate these independent brands. And if they can then come to the fair, network with other vendors as well, that's part of supporting them. I think it's the wrong idea to shut people out just because they don't meet a really strict protocol, because and that's not something we want to do here. Do you check for ethical fashion practices? To a certain extent, I believe we do. Obviously, when we speak with the brands, they're all independent brands, so most of them are either selling online through social media. None of them are big enough really to have their own stores, although something that we're quite proud of is that a lot of the vendors we started working with analysing ethical practices. We wouldn't have people in that community who wouldn't be behaving ethically. Our plans going forward, what's our next step? For us now, we want to expand the fair. We want to make it bigger. We want to have more people come along. We want to make it a real experience and promoting sustainable fashion, celebrating sustainable fashion, and then accelerating that transition towards it. Through that, we hope to have more brands, designers who then start making their products this way, which then we can then onboard on the fair. We hope to incorporate an atelier space within the yard. At the fair at the moment, we have an amazing following that come to these fairs, and I think for us now it's about stepping that up and really reaching out to people who aren't really aware of sustainable fashion or what it is. I think that the people we have that join us at the moment, they're very much aware of these ideas and they're here to celebrate it. I think now what we want to do is really engage with the public. So we hope to do that through our online channels, really share the message. It's a really valuable tool for us. those impacts of social and environmental issues and climate change. It all has a cumulative effect. The more people that do it, you might think on your own it doesn't make much of a difference, but in large volumes it makes a massive difference. And I think at the fair at the moment we have an amazing following that come to these fairs, and I think for us now it's about stepping that up and then eventually expand the fair as well, and then potentially do something even bigger in the future, who knows. But the next question for me is, do you also see your fair branching out to other cities in the UK and the world? It's a good question. I think for us it's really important that we cement ourselves within Manchester first, because Manchester has such a historical heritage of fashion and cotton, some of it for the wrong reasons as well. Obviously it was built on slavery, it was built on the cottonopolis that took cotton from India, and now Manchester has become a big fast fashion hub around the world, and we want to change that. So it's really important that FFF changes people's opinions of Manchester fashion in general, and it drives this sustainable movement. That's part of its DNA to change, and then from there I believe it has the potential to expand as well, definitely. It's just figuring out how it works best because Manchester has such a historical heritage for us and the public, and you know, making that tangible as well. And my final question, and something we will talk about now, is what designers are you showcasing at the show to represent your fair, and can you tell us a bit about them? Yes, I have two designers that I'd like to share with you. The first one is Hacher Activewear. So Hacher joined us in our second fair. She's actually just finished her first birthday as a business, Hacher Active. So that's run by Leanne Hardacre. And you know, we've seen her develop over the last two fairs some really great stuff, and I believe she's just released some new product as well, so I think that'll be running in the show. But she's using better materials within her work as well, so she uses recycled polyesters, she's eco nylon, and again it's just about bringing in these vendors who are starting their businesses and they just need guidance. And when you've got 30-40 different vendors around them that have different experiences making different products, you can bring those ideas together. And the final one is DD, is run at the fair. They also run a vintage store at the fair called Dirty Disco. But DD is sort of a classic look on women's wear, and from Hayley being the lead designer, she completely looks at the whole product itself and finds ways to ensure that every part of that process is done in its most ethical way possible, whilst it can still maintain affordable for DD, actually consumers most. And that can be from the label to the pattern cutting, and of course the material, and then where it's sourced from. But I believe she sources most of the labels and the printing, etc. in the UK. Product in fashion, you know, it's the industry of industries, and you know, could easily be forgotten about, whether that's the printer ink that you're putting on the fabric, or it's the label and the string attached to it. Where does that come from? There's all these different elements, and Hayley has really focused on all those ideas to ensure that her product can be the best possible product it can. And obviously they're beautiful dresses. They're the two vendors that we are showcasing in the fashion show. Yeah, and it was lovely to do this, lovely to speak to people. you'd like to come to the next fashion fair, we are on the 9th of July and it runs from 11 till 6. And yeah, it should be a great day. We've got live music playing, we've got about 25 vendors, got food, and it's at the Yard in Cheetham Hill. So come down, it's a free event, there'll be talks going on. I'm sure you'll probably see me involved in some of them as well, so feel free to come down. You can chat with me as well. I love chatting with new people and seeing what it's all about. So yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully see you at the fair.
I hope you are enjoying the show. I would like to remind you to donate what you can to the charities. Please see the link in the YouTube description area. Every bit helps with the work they are doing. PAID stands for Parental Education. The app that is to be developed is an extension of an online interactive parental educational course that was created by Sophia Theophilou whilst she was studying her master's at university. The idea came about after she attended the Education Policy Institute conference in 2019, where it was stated in a report that it would take 500 years before a disadvantaged child catches up. The report did not include any children with learning disadvantages, as it considered that they may not take any exams. Now, due to COVID-19, Ofsted stated even bright children are falling behind. This app will cover some important information relatable to parents, carers and guardians all over the world. So please donate to ensure that this app is created. The app will be produced in 4 stages. The first stage covers the initial prototype, which will include professional expert contents, technical requirements and trademark. The second stage will cover more features with a couple of languages. The third stage will cover beta rollout, marketing, more languages, interactive technical work. The final stage will cover a full international rollout.
Across the world, people are increasingly concerned about the impact of the clothes they buy. Fashion brands are waking up to this reality. More of them are transforming and making public their sustainability efforts. But it's not always easy for consumers to tell whether a claim is greenwashing or an honest effort to change the way clothes are made. The apparel production issues are complex and can be challenging for conscious consumers to know what to look for when buying clothes that are responsibly made. Sane is changing this. Our recognizable logo guarantees consumers that a product is made in a responsible way. Sane is not a fashion brand. It's a third-party certification, which means that factories and the materials are inspected by independent auditors. It goes way beyond self-declarations of sustainability by clothing brands, which is very common today. The logo can be placed by manufacturers externally on a certified product to allow people to show their commitment to sustainability. With Sane, consumers need only pay attention to one label, as it covers environmental and social aspects, as well as consumer safety. Fashion brands choose to certify their products with Sane standard to make their commitment to sustainability more visible and credible to end consumers.